Alright, so for tonight's homework, you're on Go Math. You're on page 484. We're working on problems 13 through 20, and today is 3/6 of 18. Number 13, let's take a look. The frozen yogurt shop uses 1 pint. I'm going to read this with you. The frozen yogurt shop uses 1 pint of milk in each milkshake. How many milkshakes can be made with 24 quarts? Okay, so I know that I have 1 pint for each milkshake, and I need it to, and I'm using 24 quarts. Question is how many milkshakes can I make? All right, so I have quarts, because I need to find out how many pints, because I'm using 24 quarts. I'm starting off with quarts, and my rule, and then I need to convert that to pints. So for every, I'm going to pull over my handy-dandy conversion chart, because you'll be using this on STAR, so if you don't use it, then that could be a problem. So for every quart is equal to 2 pints. So for every 1 quart is equal to 2 pints, and my rule is times 2. So now I am starting off with 24 quarts. My rule is 2 times 2, and that will equal 48 pints. So if it's going to be 1 pint for each milkshake, I'm going to end up making 48 milkshakes. And so then my answer over here is D. Make sure that you pause this if you have any questions. Number 14. What if the yogurt shop had 8 gallons of milk? How many milkshakes can be made from 8 gallons with 1 pint of each milkshake? All right, so you're going to follow the same premise. So let's go to number 14. All right, so it's saying that it's still going to be 1 pint for each milkshake. That hasn't changed. I'm going to use 1 pint for each milkshake. However, I have 8 gallons. I'm using 8 gallons of milk. Wow, that's a lot. So I think of a restaurant, I think of Jack in the Box, I think of Whataburger, I'm thinking of Sonic, all those places that make milkshakes, even Shake Shack or whatever that restaurant's called, that make all these shakes, and they use lots and lots of milk. All right, so I'm starting off with gallons, right? And so I'm moving over here, and I'm looking. I'm having to go to pints. So I need to go from gallons to quarts, and then I move to the next line, and then I got to go from quarts to pints. Okay? So how many steps am I going to need to do? You're absolutely right. I have 2 steps that I need to follow. Okay? So I'm coming over here. I'm starting off with gallons, so I have gallon to rule, and then I had to go from gallon to quarts. Okay, and so on my thing, my conversion chart, I have 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So here I have 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. I multiplied that by 4. Now I have 8 gallons, so 8 times 4, that's going to equal to 32 quarts. But I'm working with pints. So now I'm going to the next step, and I'm going to have quarts, because I have to convert quarts to pints. Okay? So I know that for every 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. Again, 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. I'm going to place that right over here. 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. My rule is to multiply by 2. I had 32 quarts that I converted, so I'm going to move that over here. So 32 times 2 equals 64 pints. Again, I have 1 pint per milkshake. So how many milkshakes am I then going to be able to make? Very good. 64, because I have 64 pints. Each one's going to make a milkshake. So I'm going to have 64. Okay? Again, please pause if you don't understand. Number 15. Alan needs 3 quarts of water to fill a pot for soup. How many times will he need to fill an 8-ounce measuring cup to fill the pan? All right, so now let's take a look at what he had. He needs 3 quarts of water to fill a pot for soup. We're looking at how many times will he need to fill an 8-ounce measuring cup. All right, so what do you think that we need to do? Again, so we need to go from quarts to ounces, right, to fill an 8-ounce. So I'm going to flip my page over. And here I'm in number 15. And I'm looking at here. I have 3 quarts of water. I'm going to put H2O, which means water, to fill a pot. How many times will I need to fill an 8-ounce measuring cup? So I'm going to go to how many ounces is this? Because, sometimes if you don't have a quart, you have a cup, and there's 8 ounces. That's going to be 1 cup. How many times are you going to have to fill that, the pan up to get 3 quarts? Okay, so I have quarts. And I'm going to look over here. I need to go to ounces. Well, I have quarts to pints, pints to cups. Actually, it's to cups, and then cup to fluid ounces. So I'm going to go 3 different times. So I'm going to write this over here. I have to go to quarts to pints, then pints to cups, and then cup to fluid ounces. Okay? All right, so now this is my step 1, my step 2, and my step 3. So here's my step 1 that I'm going to do. I'm starting off with quarts, going to pints, and my rule. So I'm going to look over my chart, and I know that for every quart, it's equal to 2 pints. So I have 1 quart, 2 pints. I multiplied it by 2 because that is my rule. I'm starting off with 3 quarts, is what they told me, times 2. That gives me 6 pints. Step 2, I need to convert pints to cups. So I'm going to pints to cups. And my rule. For every 1 pint, and I'm going to look here, for every 1 pint, it's 2 cups. So again, for every 1 pint, I have 2 cups. My rule is times 2. So I have my 6 pints. I'm moving here. 6 times 2 equals 12 cups. Okay? Now I'm going to move over to step 3. I have my cups, my rule, and I have my fluid ounces. So here's my cups. I had 12. I'm going to put it here. I know, looking at my rules, for every 1 cup, that's 8 fluid ounces. And I'm going to put for every 1 cup, it's 8 fluid ounces. I had to multiply that by 8. So I have 12. times 8, and that's going to give me, can you see that? I'm sorry, I covered that up. 96 ounces. Okay? So now I have 96 fluid ounces. So I'm looking back over at my question. So now that I know that 3 quarts is equal to 96, oops, I didn't mean to do that line, 96 fluid ounces, we're talking about how many times. So what do I need to do then? I hear somebody yelling out, I need to divide. So you're absolutely right. So what am I going to need to divide it by? Well, if each cup is 8 fluid ounces, then I'm needing to take my 96 divided by 8, and that gives me what? So I want you to look carefully. If you're weak at division, this is going to be your dividend, this is your divisor, and then this is your quotient. Take your divisor and multiply it by one of your answers, and you should get 96 for your total, because you're working backwards. If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 96, again, I said it was 96 divided by 8 equals, and I'm going to do my long division. 8 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract that out. 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down my 6. 8 goes into 16 2 times, because 2 times 8 equals 16. My answer, I have 0 remained. So I'm looking at 12 times I have to take my cup and pour it through. And so my answer is 12. I have to travel 12 times from the sink to the pan to fill it up to get 3 quarts of water. So you see, this is something that you also do in the kitchen. All right. Noriko and her friend made 26 pints of lemonade to sell at a fundraiser. Which operation will Noriko use to find how many cups of lemonade they have to sell? So what would she need to do? She's going to be selling, Noriko and her friend made 26 pints of lemonade to sell at the fundraiser. Which operation will she need to do to find out how many cups of lemonade they will have to sell? So you're going to be converting pints to cups. Let's look over here. Pints to cups. What operation will you need to follow to get from pints to cups? So I'm going to flip my page over here, because I can do it on there, but I'm going to just continue here. So if I'm going to convert pints to cups, just to make sure I know what I'm doing, I know I have pint, cup, and my rule. I know that for every 1 pint, this is what I saw in my conversion chart. For every 1 pint, it's 2 cups. For every 1 pint, it's 2 cups. So I need to multiply that by 2. Okay, so what is the operation I have to do? Absolutely right. The operation is multiplication. Okay? All right, number 17. The paint store was 45 gallons of white paint in stock. So the paint store has 45 gallons of white paint in stock. How many quarts of white paint is there? So I have 45 gallons, and I need to convert that to quarts. So number 17,